Welcome. Today I'm going to discuss my top 10 favorite Mortal Kombat characters. Beginning with number 10, Rain. Rain makes the list because one of my favorite funk frontmen, the virtuoso guitarist and skilled entertainer, Prince, the purple one, was the foundation of the development of this combatant. He also has cool skills. He controls water, and he was originally just a color swap of some of the other ninjas, making him purple. And of course it's a joke, Purple Rain, the purple one, Prince, the character is a prince. It just all makes for a really fun nod towards one of the greatest entertainers of all time. So I wish that he was more active and had a bigger role in the storylines of today, and I especially wish that he was still available as a combatant. Alright, number 9 for me is Kano. He's just a very dangerous personality. I love anything that combines like cybernetics with humanity, and he just looks evil. All of his behaviors are self-serving. He's sort of a stereotypical just bad guy. He's very fierce. He makes use of his weapons in a good way, and he's one of my favorites from way back. So the fact that he's stayed in the franchise for so long is also one of the reasons he's on the list. Just a dangerous, unsavory type altogether, and I tend to like those types of characters. Number 8 for me is Stryker. Although he was never one of the characters I would fight with a lot, because he wasn't a playable character when I was doing the bulk of my Mortal Kombat fighting, I grew to love him in the newer generation games because he's just like an everyday guy. If you or I were confronted with demons from Outworld coming and trying to take over the world, we would have to rely on firearms and very human methods of trying to hold back the onslaught of demons. And to me that makes him really appealing because he's just kind of an average guy making use of the tools that are available to average people, and that's the basis of his combat style. So he's an exciting character for me because he draws the Mortal Kombat universe down into everyday reality, and he is kind of like an entry point into the franchise for people who would be into, firearms and slaying those combatants in a very real world way. Okay, number 7 for me is Sub-Zero. I always like Sub-Zero more than Scorpion. The power of ice trumps the power of fire for me. I like his backstory, how they've been developing it, and he's going to make his way onto my list in another form a little bit later. From the very first game, his fatality was easily the best on the first game, so that might have a big part of it. And I always found myself fighting with him quite a lot, and I just loved his skill set, and he's just to me the coolest ninja. Isn't he the coolest one? Number 6 for me is Mileena. She just seems so dangerous and otherworldly, with animalistic instincts. They've characterized her in this way also, in a very making her very animalistic. She will slay someone and then begin eating their flesh there as a part of her fatality moves. I think that between her and Kitana, I always liked her more. Her fatalities were always more interesting to me. I like the Sai as a weapon more than the fans that Kitana had. And of the first round of female combatants, she I always liked her more than Jade also. She's just so evil, and she's one of those extra-dimensional beings like Baraka who has the weird jaws and just something about her appeals to me a lot. Just that hidden part of her personality. She just seems like a normal ninja, but just underneath, she's masking this horrific, dangerous element. And I think that fits for both her physical appearance and her personality. Number 5 for me, Noob Sabo. The Shadow Warrior is such an awesome idea. His moveset in the newer games is so awesome. And just to think of a monstrous combatant that can fully hide and immerse itself in the shadows and strike from the shadows and use the shadow to inflict damage. It's like the quintessential ninja. I mean, it's a ninja that doesn't even have physical form anymore. It's melted so far back into the shadows that it is now of the shadows. And in the story arc that they've developed, Noob Sabo is actually the original Sub-Zero, which just makes him all the more awesome. Sub-Zero died and was resurrected from the Nether Realm by, I think, Quan Chi, and turned into Noob Sabo. And then Sub-Zero's younger brother became the Sub-Zero that we all know now. So, an evil ninjutsu warrior. Number 4 for me is Ermac. Ermac has that Star Trek Borg sort of a thing going on, where the souls of a lot of different people are contained in this shell that has human form, and something about him not really having a personality outside of being the overseer or the caretaker of all these lost transient souls makes him infinitely interesting to me, and the way that they voice the actor and his skill set is really awesome. And I think that he's very, very inhuman, which makes him very appealing to me. And when a character has motivations outside of normal human motivations, it's very compelling. Number 3 for me is Devorah. This woman is so fierce. I don't want to give away any of the story of the newest game, but she just came out of nowhere. Of all the new characters they introduced for Mortal Kombat X, she was the one I immediately responded to the most, because controlling insects and just, the creepy crawlies that always make people feel unsettled when you think about leeches and maggots and bugs and, swarms of dangerous animals, plagues and pestilence and everything, all wrapped up in this female combatant. And I think that the way they've developed her character is that she too is just kind of an outer shell shaped like a human being, but her true essence and the type of alien being that she is actually this massive swarm of insects. So they did a really excellent job, and she's my favorite of the new characters by far. Beautiful character design. She lends herself perfectly to this dark and eerie and unsettled universe that we all love. That's what we love about Mortal Kombat. Okay, number 2 for me is Baraka. Ever since Mortal Kombat 2, he was one of my favorite fighters. He's a general in the Outworld Army. He's got these giant claws that come out of his wrists, and he attacks with them. His moveset in Mortal Kombat 2 was incredible. He had great offensive and defensive strategies, and his fatalities were cool. And I love using Baraka and fighting with him. He is just so fierce, once again, he's so dangerous. And his blade, the way that he just uses his blades to slay everybody is so cool. Baraka. Number 1 for me, Reptile. Reptile's always been my favorite of the ninjas, back when he was just kind of a color swap. And as they started developing him into a reptilian alien creature, his song on the Mortal Kombat soundtrack was my favorite theme of the album. He reminds me of like the alien, like the reptile aliens that some people say that extraterrestrials might have a reptilian appearance. There's just so many things about a living reptile creature that spits acid. His fatalities were always incredible. He would use his tongue to lash out and pluck off the head of the other combatants and swallow it whole. And I always like acid spitting. He could turn invisible. Everything about Reptile is incredible. And he's only gotten better in this new generation of console Mortal Kombat games. So, there you have it. Crazy, evil alien reptilian species. Monstrous, demonic creatures doing battle. Nothing could possibly be better. And it was tough to pick, but there we have it. My top 10 Mortal Kombat combatants.